former lineman for the University of Alabama, consensus first-team All-American in 2009, Atlanta Falcon, Alabama Crimson Tide national champion. Mike Johnson, how are you, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, man, appreciate you having me. It's good to be back. It's good to hear your voice, man. It reminds me of Alabama football.
I appreciate that. I take that as a high compliment. Let's kind of work our way backwards, and we'll start with the present. What's going on with you right now? I know injuries were something that unfortunately really hurt things with the Falcons, but talk to us about life for you right now, what you're doing, what you're up to.
Yeah, man, I'm right now I'm in the early stages of retirement from football, and like you said, the injuries kind of took their toll on me, and 3 major foot injuries in the last 4 years, and I just decided that it was time to go a different direction, that maybe God had a different plan for me, and so I'm just kind of talking to guys like you, man, dipping my head in doors and seeing what's going on and seeing what path I might be able to take moving forward. Trying to decide if I want to stay around football or maybe go another direction. I don't know. The good thing is that I get to kind of take my time with it, so just enjoying life.
You kind of paused after you said early stages of football retirement. Is that something that's still almost surreal to you, given that I'm guessing you've done this probably since you were, 8, 9, 10 years old?
Yeah, I did it at a pretty young age, and I wasn't sure. I was on the fence for a while about retirement and wasn't sure if maybe I just needed to give my feet some time off and give it another go. But, I had a short workout with a couple other teams and just decided that I didn't think I could do it the level I was used to and accustomed to anymore. So it is surreal, but it turns out that it hasn't been too tough of a choice. I actually, the day I told my mom I was going to retire, she kind of thanked me. She was like, I don't want to have to go through this anymore and deal with all that, and I'm glad that you're deciding to hang them up. So I know it's been the right decision. It is surreal, but it's been a good thing so far.
Besides family, when you are debating this decision, give me 2 or 3 people that you're talking to. I know obviously medical staff and like I said, family, but beyond that, who are you making the phone calls to bounce this off of?
Well, one that Tide fans will know about is Joe Pendry. I mean, obviously he was a big part of my college career and still has a good role over there at the university. And he was one of the guys I wanted to talk to, and he just kind of gave me his 2 cents and said, if you're really going to do it, then make sure it's all out of your system. And I talked to another couple teammates from Atlanta, a guy named Brian Finneran, does a radio show over here. He played 13 years or so and kind of gave me his 2 cents. And I had another friend of mine that was in my draft that retired for 2 years because of injuries. So, asking people how you know when you know and stuff like that, it's really made this a lot more soothing for me.
You talked about Joe Pendry, and one of my favorite moments of the national championship game win for Alabama over Notre Dame was Coach Pendry's no longer on the staff now, of course, at this point, but still works in the athletic department. He happened to have come down on the field, was on the sidelines. There's I don't know, 9-10 minutes to go in the ball game. It's over. We're all just hoping that they remember our ring size from the previous year. Barrett Jones comes over to him. Offense was off the field, and Barrett comes by, gives him a hug, and they speak briefly. And as Barrett's walking off, Coach Pendry says, and like I said, it was right in front of me. He goes, "Hey, finish this." So a couple minutes later on that next drive, when again it was over, but Barrett and AJ had the well publicized exchange there on the field. It didn't surprise me because that was the mindset of the team. Be the best you can all the way to the final whistle, regardless of what the score was. Talk about Coach Pendry more and why you could still have that connection with him even after, again, a few years since he was actually your coach.
Well, he was just a guy that kind of got you, as a player. He was one of those that had been around the block, and it brought such a satisfaction to us as an offense because there was never an iffy answer with Coach Pendry. There was always one way to do it. And if you didn't do it that way, you weren't going to be successful. And almost every time a play wasn't successful, he'd be able to point out something. And have that confidence as an offensive line, as an offense as a whole, meant the world to us. And I think it's transitioned into our, after football life where we still all talk. I talk to William Vallejos on a daily basis. I talk to Joe Pendry. I talk to James Carpenter every now and then, and Antoine Caldwell and those guys. And it was a big family back then. And I think, you kind of saw the tail end of that with Barrett, being an older guy leaving after that year. It was that was Joe Pendry's legacy and still is. He had a huge effect on all of us.
Mike Johnson joining us on the Bud Light Lime Hotline presented by Green Beverage. When you look at the line now, you're watching it as an alum. I don't guess there hadn't been any teammates of yours for a little while on that squad. But when you look at the line, tell me what you see specifically with Ryan Kelly at center and Cam Robinson over there at tackle.
I think they're an athletic bunch. I think that they are, a sign of the times. Their body types, they fit into Alabama football of the modern day. And, we were a little bit different back. We were, more three-point stance back in our day with Andre Smith and guys like that were, such dominant run blockers, even as far forward as these Fluker. But they do a good job with them. I like what they're doing with them scheme-wise. Cam Robinson is going to be, just a player that plays for the next 15 years. And Ryan Kelly also, those guys have a lot of ability up front. I was happy to see them do as well as they did last year because I know that there was a lot of a guessing game what offensive line was going to transition over, and I think they did a good job.
You just said they do things differently than we did back in our day, and I'm laughing because back in your day was only 6 seasons ago.
I know.
How surprising is it for you to look out there and see the different approach offensively from what was so successful for you guys at that particular time?
Yeah, I guess that's another thing that makes it, it's only 6 seasons ago, and, it seems like an eternity for me, but 6 seasons ago. But you look at how many different, they've gone from McElwain and Nussmeier to Kiffin, and you kind of, it just seems like an eternity ago when we had McElwain there and we were running those kind of plays. So that's more what I mean, I guess. But yeah, it's different. It's and I've analyzed some of the film from past games, last year's SEC championship and LSU game, and it's just a sign of the times. I feel like football is one of the different means these days, and they try to find their mismatches and do with that. But with us, back my junior year in 08, it was like you build up a 21-point lead and you run the ball for about 12 minutes in the fourth quarter. So that was kind of how we did things. Not so much the same now, but they're finding it a good way to be successful. So I hope to continue moving in that direction.
All-American Mike Johnson, our guest here on Tide 99.1. You had the privilege of blocking for some of the best that Alabama's ever had, but I do want your thoughts on that Clydesdale that's back there is the number one guy for Alabama now in Derrick Henry, and the combination he and Kenyon Drake apparently will provide for the Tide this year.
Yeah, it's definitely a sign of the time. Those are some big boys. They kind of get those knees pumping, and all you see is knees and shoulder pads coming at you. It seems like I think they're going to hold their own as far as the dynamic duos that Alabama has had over the years that I've been associated with the program, the Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson, and even complimentary guys like Roy Upchurch, and they're going to hold their own with it, man. There's some good players. I like the way they run the ball, and I love the way they bring down 4 or 5 guys every time they go down the field. That's what you like to see as an offensive lineman. That's what gives you energy as an offensive lineman, and hopefully the entire offense can feed off of that and be the future guys.
You mentioned complimentary player, and I'm glad you brought him up because I've wanted to ask this question of somebody that was on that team. Do you think you guys may have won it all in 08 if Upchurch had stayed healthy?
I would love to think so. Roy was, he was my ace in the hole. He still is. I talk to him every now and then, and he was one of those guys that just did whatever he was asked that year. And it wasn't always his calling card, as a lot of people publicized throughout his career, was just doing what you're asked. But he was an incredible player, man. He was one of those guys that just had that top end speed and that ability to kind of make things happen when he was on the field, and wasn't ever afraid to do what needed to be done to win the game, special teams or running back or otherwise. So, yeah, I would like to think so. I would like to think he would add that extra dynamic, but So many tangibles go into that. Who can even tell you?
Right. And I just I go back to that game, and I remember as it was happening and calling that the replay for CSS with Tyler Watts, and there were a couple of moments in that second half where in past games you knew from having watched him this was his time. This was where that particular play call to him was going to take place, and you're going to keep possession and keep a drive going. And especially in that fourth quarter, you seem to miss that. You seem to miss him. And again, that's why I tell people all the time that it's so stinking hard to win it all, no matter how good you are, because certain pieces of the puzzle, maybe not being there, can change the dynamic so very much for a team.
Yeah, there's a lot of instances that I thought for sure when Dante Hightower got hurt in '09, I thought maybe that was going to be the end of our run. Just little guys are integral parts, and they're integral parts of the puzzle. That you really start to lean on throughout the summer and throughout training camp. That all of a sudden when they're gone, that takes an adjustment by everybody, not just the one position. I think he was definitely one of those guys.
What do you think about McElwain being at Florida in terms of being able to get them back to where Florida fans expect them to be?
I sure am rooting for him. I was kind of joking with a bunch of our buddies. I was at Preston Dial's wedding last weekend, and he was getting married, and I ran into the old Baron Hubers and Corey Reimers of the world, and I was laughing with them saying he's going to have to get rid of that Montana accent, if he's going to go down to Florida and recruit. But I think he'll be good. I really am rooting for him. I grew up in Florida and was a Florida State fan growing up, and I really hope that Matt gets, that program back on track, not so much for them, but, for him. He had an incredible impact in my career. He's a great guy. He deserves the success that he's had, and look forward to watching him compete against Coach Saban.
I know it's position coaches that you really have, as players, the tightest relationship with. Do you get a chance to talk with Saban at all, though?
Oh, well, I've seen him at a couple events. I see him at Crimson Caravan, and when you get back in town for I came the Nick at Noon last year and got to see him during that. So every now and then I bump into him. Usually once or twice a year, and try to keep the contacts tight with all my guys over there. You start moving through coaches, and there's not many left even from when I was there, and they start spreading out with. Jeremy Pruitt being at Georgia, Rob Sale being at Georgia now, and guys like that getting placed all over the place. But with Coach Saban, it's just one of those things where you look forward to seeing him when you do and realize he's a busy guy, and, you can call him if you ever need anything.
Really enjoyed the chance to talk to you. I hope you'll come back and do this again real soon, and we'll talk college and NFL. I'd love to pick your brain on that as we get closer to the start of the NFL season as well.
Hey, I appreciate you giving me the call, man. Like I said, your voice really brings back some memories, reminds me of some Bama football, so I can't wait for the fall to start.